Hello friends, it's me, and today let's watch Food Theory. Who's still keeping Arby's in business from the food theorists? Together, let's go. Let's start. Thank you.
Arby's has the meats, but nobody's eating them. What if I told you though that it's one of the best-selling fast food chains in the country? Billions of dollars in revenue in the last year alone. But this highly successful chain is making a fatal mistake, and they won't have the meats for much longer. Hello Internet, welcome to Food Theory, the show that has the meats. And if you have
Hello Internet, welcome to Food Theory. Let's begin.
no idea what that means, you've probably never heard of Arby's. And hey, no shade. Out of all the fast food places out there, I feel like Arby's is the one I never hear anything about. Nothing good, that is.
I'm so hungry I could eat at Arby's.
It's the fast food chain with the infamous slogan that it's got the meats, but not in the traditional fast food way, with things like cheeseburgers. Arby's makes roast beef sandwiches. Hey, you gotta stand out against the rest, I guess. But I can honestly say I've never had a hankering for a roast beef sandwich in the same way people crave tacos or burgers or pizza or anything like that. This and many more reasons are why I've never had Arby's. In fact, I've never really thought about it outside of impulsively repeating, "We've got the meats," at horrifically timed moments in my life. It wasn't until I was hanging out with our GT Live channel manager, Tay, one day, because we're besties, that the subject came up. They were all like, "Santi, you're one of the smartest and coolest people I know. Answer me this. Who in the heck is keeping Arby's in business?" They're gonna kill me when they see this. But they had a point. I mean, my perception of Arby's is so low that I just assumed Arby's was long gone. A fast food chain that disappeared due to unpopularity. But it turns out I was dead wrong. Not only is Arby's still around, but it's doing pretty well. In 2024, Arby's was ranked 25th in sales among US restaurant chains.
Actually, to be honest with you, it's actually quite good for it to be, established back in, if I'm not wrong, 1964, which is 61 years ago. Wow, that's quite incredible.
That may not sound so high, but when you consider it's higher than Applebee's, Papa John's, and Five Guys, you realize Arby's is doing more than just getting by. So now I'm intrigued. What has kept Arby's afloat?
No way, I just noticed. It is actually older than Singapore. Singapore is 60 years old.
This whole time? Is it competitive pricing, their marketing tactics, or something else entirely? That is what we're gonna find out today, and hopefully you can stomach it as we dive into the world of Arby's. Before we can get into what Arby's is doing today, it's important we talk about their history, because whistle, it's a roller coaster. In the 1960s, brothers Leroy and Forrest Raffle were inspired by McDonald's, which was killing it by franchising their business centered around the cheeseburger. Clearly, the food industry was going places, and they wanted in on the action. But knowing how the burger department was largely cornered by the Golden Arches and was shortly followed by the new rival Burger King, the Raffle brothers wanted to find a fast food item that stood out. So they decided to go with the roast beef sandwich. And with their niche fast food idea, they opened their first restaurant in 1964. That restaurant was named Arby's, which was loosely based on their initials. Raffle Brothers, Arby's, kind of a stretch, but hey, it works. And so did their restaurant. Even though their roast beef sandwich cost 69 cents, noise, and a McDonald's burger at the time only cost 15 cents, they still saw large success, opening multiple restaurants the following year.
Let's be honest, these prices in 2025 is impossible. Wow. How times have changed.
1970, Arby's had 300 locations across the country. Arby's may have a bad reputation now, but clearly it was liked by many in the 70s and could start taking on the giants of the industry. But here's the thing, expanding that fast requires money. And while the Raffle brothers initially just borrowed money from banks, they needed more in order to grow, and so decided to make the company public, which basically means the company sells tiny pieces of itself, or stocks, to anyone. The big pro is you get a lot of money from selling those stocks. But the con is the company's now got to answer to a lot more invested people. It didn't matter to them because the brothers really just needed to increase their cash flow and keep expanding. But something happened they didn't expect. The day they went public, the stock market crashed. Meaning, instead of making a huge pile of cash from people wanting to buy shares of the company, they made nothing. And now, suddenly, the Raffle brothers had debts to pay and no money to do it. This left Arby's in a difficult situation.
Okay, look, ever since I was young, there's a saying called 玩手然后烧到手 means you burn your hand. The stock market, if you know how to play it well, or if you are very lucky, you can rise up fast. But it is a double-edged sword. It's a two-way street. Just like how easily you can go uprise, you can easily go downfall. It sucks.
They had to file for bankruptcy at the end of 1970, which sounds like it should have been the end for Arby's and the Raffle brothers. But somehow, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, 5 months after bankruptcy, the brothers regained control of the company. Now that they had their company back, they needed to figure out how to fix Arby's, how to make it profitable once more. And with around 500 locations by 1975, they really needed more cash to stay afloat. So in 1976, they sold the company to RC Cola. Suddenly, boom! They boomed. Damn it, I did it too soon. Anyway, after this, Arby's had 800 locations total, and it was in 1979 that the Raffle brothers decided to retire, quit while they were ahead, and while they were rich. But the bumpy ride wasn't over for the roast beef joint. Unsurprisingly, when the Raffle brothers quit, Arby's began changing, and not for the better. They began to widen their menu, caving to the generic fast food offerings. See, the reason Arby's had success up until that point was their niche fast food offering. No one else was doing roast beef sandwiches, and without the Raffle brothers there, that vision seemed to be lost. But fortunately, not for long. In 1984, there was a takeover of Arby's parent company, Royal Crown, and the leadership of Arby's changed with it. The first thing they did was have Arby's return to the menu that made it so unique in the first place, the roast beef sandwich. This set Arby's back on the path to success, and by the 90s, Arby's was the 12th best fast food place in the industry. Now,
Exactly. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You can improve upon it, but do not take away the core integral foundations of what made it successful in the first place.
now, decades later, Arby's
There could be upgrades. Don't get me wrong. There could be development. There could be growth. Okay, but at a fundamental level, if the principal core pillar is successful, don't take it away. You can add on to it, but don't take it away.
is still going strong, making over $4 billion in sales last year. But how? How is a company that has had some serious ups and downs managing to keep going? Especially when its primary consumer base, the boomers, is no longer the largest demographic. It all comes down to their success this side of the millennium. Let's backtrack a bit though, because sadly, Arby's second rise from the ashes didn't last very long. By 2011, Arby's was not doing great and was sold yet again to the Roark Capital Group, who owns things like Subway and Dave's Hot Chicken. Like the first time, the changeover wasn't beneficial. By this point, Arby's was not only going down in sales, but it had garnered a bad reputation in the media, with shows like The Simpsons and Family Guy dunking on it, as well as Jon Stewart roasting them on The Daily Show.
Arby's, no gimmicks, just diarrhea.
Arby's needed to do something to win back the public, and more importantly, win the new, younger audience that became the leading group for sales, the millennials. So by 2014, Arby's switched up their slogan to the one we know today.
We have the meat.
They returned their focus to what they were offering, meat, and lots of it. But on top of that, they decided to go for more tongue-in-cheek marketing strategies. Rather than doing what most chains were doing and following the healthy eating trends, offering vegetarian options and low-calorie options, Arby's doubled down with their new slogan, as well as ads that showed their meat carrot. Oh yeah, meat carrot. Imagine having to Google that for the better part of the day. I have seen things, man. Anyway, Arby's
Alright, I'm pretty sure the vegans and the vegetarians are going to be like,
decided to just be funny and not cave to the ways of other fast food joints. Even with their bad reputation, they decided to lean into it. They often tweeted Jon Stewart regarding his comments towards them. And when he left The Daily Show, they made a montage of all the times Jon made a joke at Arby's expense, even offering him a job. It was really funny. This entire strategy did exactly what Arby's wanted, and that was to grab the interest of millennials, to the point where by 2015, 54% of their consumer base were people aged 18 to 34, and reached sales of $3.5 billion, which was the best they had in 20 years. And year by year, they continued to see growth. Winning the favor of millennials with their humor-filled ads and their refusal to change their offerings to meet everyone's needs are what kept Arby's growing year by year. And Arby's is still relying on the millennial generation to keep them propped up based on their latest promotion, the loaded Italian sandwich. The promotion was the return of a famous Arby's item menu. This isn't anything new for a fast food place. Bringing back a menu item is a pretty classic move, move that increases sales due to nostalgia. McDonald's does it all the time with things like the McRib or the Grimace Shake, creating a huge rise in sales. But the reason Arby's promotion is so important is that it shows their reliance on millennials. The loaded Italian sandwich was originally launched in 2015, the same year they saw their best growth for the last 2 decades. The majority
But 2015 was 10 years ago. The next one is going to be Gen Z.
of which was millennials. Clearly, Arby's wasn't just wanting the customers to relive the glory days, they wanted to as well. The ad featured Jersey Shore stars Jenny and Nicole, who ended up having their own spin-off series that it sucked, but was mainly watched by millennials during, you guessed it, 2015. Another bit of 2015 nostalgia injected right into Arby's strategy. Arby's wasn't just tackling their loyal customers. They were literally trying to go back in time to the year when they saw huge success, hoping history would repeat itself.
Hey! Time travel!
Ironically, history did repeat itself, but not in the way Arby's might want. Rather than repeating the years of success, Arby's has gone into a blind panic to help its franchise from collapsing, and in doing so, is falling back into one of the many traps that caused Arby's to struggle to get ahead in the first place. If you look at the Arby's menu today, you'll notice that it offers way more than its trademark roast beef sandwich and cut meats. They have double bacon cheeseburgers, crispy chicken tenders, chicken sandwiches, Greek heroes or gyros, however you say it, and wraps. Stuff that you can find at pretty much any other fast food restaurant in the US. Arby's is widening its menu offering in order to compete with other chains and appeal to everyone's needs. But by doing this, they've lost what made them so popular to start with, and what
Don't forget, a niche becoming, not a niche.
brought them favor with the millennials. Arby's always stood out because instead of being your standard fast food chain, it offered quality beef, not your cheap hamburger. Even from their earliest days when their sandwich cost 4 times what a McDonald's cheeseburger did, they were giving people something different. And the reason they saw huge growth in the mid-2010s was because despite them facing pressure from other fast food chains to conform and begin offering options for all kinds of people, from healthy eating to vegetarian, they stayed true to their product and unabashedly doubled down on what made them great. We have the meats. No veggie, no burgers. End of discussion. This is what the millennials enjoy. It's the reason they became their main consumer base and why Arby's have managed to still be here 10 years later. More than that, it's part of their identity. But last year, sales dropped by over 6%, and franchise locations have started to declare bankruptcy. Now they're backpedaling and changing their philosophy and the very thing that has kept them on the map, their identity. The thing that is also so ridiculous about this is, like I said earlier, they're repeating history. Arby's already did this exact same thing back in the 80s. After the Raffle brothers left, the company began offering hamburgers to compete with the likes of McDonald's, but it didn't work out for them. Fortunately, due to a hostile takeover of the parent company, a new CEO decided to change it back to how it was, and that is when sales began to go up again. Despite this being a clear lesson in Arby's history, it sounds like it's been forgotten. Instead of staying true
Exactly, those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it.
to their convictions and their identity that their consumers had grown to love, they're instead just trying to stop sales from going down. And clearly, Greek heroes are not what their consumers want. Funny enough, if they want to do that and to tap into Gen Z, the new generation of consumers that'll keep them in business, they have to stick to who they are. By trying to copy burger places or chicken places, they've just become another faceless fast food joint in the eyes of Gen Z. They have to go back to their niche and the attitude that came with it. The lesson is this, Arby's: don't go chasing waterfalls, stick to the lakes and the rivers you're used to. Because the reason your sales were climbing wasn't because your hamburgers were better than McDonald's or chicken tenders better than KFC. It was because what you had to offer was nothing like the competitors. You were competing, sure, but you were on a totally different playing field. You were different. But now you're becoming a scrub and losing what had people digging on you in the first place. You're losing the meats. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Buen provecho. And hey, ever wonder what happened to the dollar menu? Click the link on the screen now. And as always, I'll see you next week.
Well, thank you so much for this episode from the Food Terrace. You guys did a great job in dissecting it and keeping it educational and entertaining to watch. Thank you so much. Education for the win. Sorry, edutainment for the win. Thank you so much. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. Oh wait. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Buen provecho. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye. Hope to see you in my next video.